your phones? If you don't, I hope you have a really good ringtone so we don't have to make fun of you too much. You may take photography of the meeting session if you want. There's nothing in these slides that needs to be protected. There's nothing in it that's particularly useful either, but if you want a picture, have at. Social media policy, everything can be shared unless a speaker specifically asks that it not be. We're not going to deal with questions. This is different. Meeting apps, all of that fun stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for coming to the FCRG session. It has a really nice title for a really low effort session. So we're going to have some discussion about tracking, testing, and data management in flow cytometry cores. But we're not telling you anything. We are pooling the available knowledge and trying to come up with some recommendations for everyone else. As a structure, because we are the FCRG and we do have an active research project, we are going to give a short update on that before we get started. And then we'll go into these moderated small group discussions. So every table has a theme. I've assigned these 3 tables so far. So if you are interested in proficiency testing, staff users, that will be over here. If you are interested in project tracking in your own core, across cores, whatever makes sense to you, we've got them up here. And then there's data management in the middle. Once we expand beyond those 3, whoever's left can have other tables, and you guys can choose your own adventure. I have extra sets of note cards. After we have a chance to talk about it, hopefully whoever's moderating the table can take some notes on the note cards, and we'll bring them together and have a chat about these things. And then we will very quickly close. I put 3 minutes. It won't take me that long. Okay, so drop delay project update. The FCRG has been working on a project over the last couple of years to look at what the impact of not having access to manual control and validation of drop delay might look like. So a lot of us are used to sorters where we can set drop delay, but we can also fudge it if we need to. And some of the newer models are doing away with some of these controls. And that can be a problem when you get into bigger particles, which might not clog your nozzle, so you could run them, but the drop delay is no longer appropriate. So we're studying that impact and ways that we can mitigate it, even if we don't have access to these controls, and if we do have access to them, or we need to talk to vendors for putting them back in the software and make an argument for getting those fixes bumped up the priority list. So we had collected an initial large data set. We presented it at last year's meeting, and we got some really good feedback. And some of that had to do with the data quality. Like our SOPs, some of them were maybe perhaps not as clear, so not all of the data was comparable. So over the last year, we've been cleaning our data to make sure that we are keeping the runs that met our criteria. We have updated SOPs for clarity, and we currently have an open call for volunteers on specific instruments where we did not have enough data that met the quality thresholds to be kept in the study. So if you have an S8, a Bigfoot, an Aurora CS, or Cytoflex SRT, and are interested in being involved in this study, please go to the form at that QR code, and we will contact you. If you are in the US, domestic, we will provide the beads to you. If you are not in the US and you still want to participate, if you're willing to buy the appropriate beads, we would still be happy to have you involved in the study, but the shipping logistics are a lot harder for us to work out. Cool. All right, small group discussions. This is the fun part where we all get to talk about what we're doing or not. So as I mentioned, the 3 different broad areas that we had to discuss: project tracking. What should we be tracking for internal projects? What should we be tracking for cross-core collaborations? What can you do if you're a big core? What can you do if you're a core of 1? So something that a large institution might be able to pay for or manage might not be feasible for a single person. So think about like what's minimum, what would be icing on the cake? What are we using for this tracking? And this topic kind of fits in line with an ISAC survey that's currently open. I think Kiwal and Michael are talking about what you need to track for publication. So if you're interested in contributing to their survey, which will be, I think they're working on making a manuscript for Cytometry Part A for that as part of the SRL committee. Proficiency testing. People tell us they know what they're doing. Do they? How do we know? So what do you look for staff to know that they have learned what you need them to know for a daily basis? How do you keep up with that in their development? How do you know that that user that says they totally watched that training video and they listened and they took really good notes, trust me, I can do it myself? What do you look for? What are your metrics? How are you going to monitor this? Does it change based on instrument type? All that fun stuff. And then data management. We are generating so much more data than we used to, and it's only going to get bigger. How long are we keeping it on an instrument? How are we transferring this data? Whose responsibility is it to keep it, to be in compliance with NIH data retention policies? Can we automate parts of this to make it less painful? The NIH FAIR principles also come into this. So I am going to ask that if you're interested in project tracking, there are still seats available at this table, so feel free to move up here. If you're interested in proficiency testing, there are seats still available up at this table. Data management's pretty full, so if data management's your jam and you're in the back, let me know and I will toss you a thing for that. So I know some of the tables already have designated moderators. If you don't have a moderator, we'll pick one. Hopefully the moderator can take some notes on the note cards and I'll collect them at the end to document that we did a thing and try to put people's ideas together.
Only on. Yep. Also, I led to proficiency testing, so obviously this is much smaller. So a lot of the users that use that is honestly a really good question. They should be asking me. So actually, I was a user before I joined James as a technologist. So I'm proficient in certain machines, particularly the ones that I was using projects that I was working on. But so a lot of it is kind of learning. For example, I'm still learning a lot of targeting servers with optimizing all of the other machines, particularly that are not
that way, I'm not doing the instrument, because that's the easiest. And some people say, find out where my cousin, you know, if they want to do that, so they should be
It doesn't take long to get to. Exactly. And if he's decided they're trustworthy, then they're in. Well, I think it is too, like, because people call me regularly, so I don't even know what sure you're in. So it's also the times when people come in and they don't understand what they're using. Sometimes they ask me, and I'm also at time, I don't either. I go to my director, so I feel like one of these people is generally competent, but asking my boss talks to as many users as possible, and he knows a lot more detail of their experiments, so they're networking on as their data works, and he's constantly running around and doing my basic things, so that decides to trust users when he knows them. I have the numbers not. Maybe I should have. So on the analyzers, we train like a 2-hour session.
So we have a separate cytometry board that we do.
We have Sony
So I have people and
which is our preferred instrument.
Can I go back and get
Users, because we find the UI really easy to use.
like
We run
in the old days, when
one of those.
very, literally, that's not what the thing is.
because some users, they're helping them, they know they need help. The real problem is the people who don't need help, they need help. Yeah, and people, obviously, you know, we're a big person. People come to us and they say we're having a problem with our data. We look at the staff. Again, the barrier is people don't ask. We just assume that they're doing great. And they might also assume that they're doing great. And, you know, we do have spectral instruments. I have not always listened. I don't know them as much myself. And generally, I think there are more competent people on those instruments because they're running more complicated experiments. But people there's yes, and I think, you know, some people are analyzers, they're running more colors, and they think it's very easy. Purpose never thought about it. I think the people who use spectral for their 20-color experiments are thinking about getting it together.
One thing that I struggle with is training management. So it's, you know, if you know how to run an instrument, I say like 7 times. And you get some people to do, and they lean on you heavily, and then some people it's hard to say.
Which is an argument, which is actually a good argument right there. Proficiency, we do some proficiency. It should be the training years. We actually get some. And then demonstrate, like you said, when we start our shutdown and it's
Access and no access. We should have
that's a really good
it only works during, you can only schedule it during.
There should be information there.
Ours doesn't have that granularity sadly.
There should be a level of proficiency should be provisional until you demonstrate competence. Because we offer assisted use. A lot of times, I think some people, it kind of depends on the user. Some people come in and they want to, they're like, I want to get to the point where I don't need you to be here anymore. And some people come in and they're like, if you can just do as much as possible, that would be yeah, but it's all assisted sort, so they're sort of like, we have some people who do it out. And my director has been trying to get to a point where we don't offer assisted use on the analyzers at all, unless you need help, but then you're offering assisted, so it's constantly.
So we already know that.
Alright, so let's switch gears. Everyone feels how about competency?
But if they see something and they're like,
They've never mentioned.
and I've had several times, I don't know how.
I can talk about it.
You guys have those
The level of staff is not
Engineers that come, sometimes engineers. Yes,
Like,
yes, I was saying,
I
'cause I used to
understand
want
how to,
run my,
do controls and the compensation setup, but,
his lab is.
I think that your viability doesn't look good.
Yes.
Like something might go wrong with your prep, and they go, well, could that happen? And at a point where I'm like, please ask someone who knows more than me. Because I bring Mike over, or I ask the PI.
It is,
Yes, but because I don't have the biology back, I feel like there's a large amount of information that I should know that is not like a flow cytometry basic. This is a lot of this I am trying to figure out what I
So what I'm doing is all the time.
It's always enough, because you take 5 micrograms.
just keep reading this. There are times now where it's like I'll look at the plot, what on earth is that? And then next month I'll see the same plot and I know exactly what this
The
is.
first time I saw it, that's when
So I mean, we had someone that said he runs samples the other day, he was expecting like 2 populations and extended populations. And I was like, I have no idea what we're doing. I don't need to get right direct. He's on vacation, like we'll get back to you in a week. And I have no
So
idea.
one is figuring out what
If
person
you
you're
would
going to.
Yes. So I always have the system, but so users come to me expecting me to be a proficient expert, and fortunately I'm very comfortable saying, I don't really answer the question. Please ask me.
with 1 to 10 dilution, you say that's the
Anyone
amount
else have
of
comments about?
which
Pretty heavy.
it's not
So that you can communicate with wherever the data is stored. So you don't have
You say,
copies of the study.
sharing, no, but then it's actually more accurate work and
They're all working.
I'm
do the next one while reading the
it's
other.
not
You know, so like, you have something to fall back on, and it's not, but it's not them.
So that's it. I really think it's very important because we can get huge insights with our genomics using the advantages. So, and we, I know, but he did convince me
There's no
by
getting around it.
the luminal fluorescent
Yeah.
and nuclei and the it's a true story. They say, okay, that's good. We don't see it. We need to read the manual. We need to set up certain
You have to like,
so we did export our
sustaining, so your
protocols,
staff is
import
actually
all
staying.
them and say, we don't get them.
We have,
That's the
experiments going on, so it's great for that.
So what for we do the same thing again, just out to another way. We have all sort
Kind of works.
with all this Harrison.
And like I said, we've done a little bit of
And we have
standardized
profiles.
proficiency testing.
And we give it to them and say, okay, you have your 10,000 resources, things like that. Okay, 42.
So let's say,
No, instead of being the same for every user, things got you in another register. That is why it's not.
I did just write it, but I'm trying to remember what I wrote.
So it's really so we have spin down, aspirate this one, aspirate the other, or we mix something and we store all the sexy stuff. I don't get it. So we really changed. You users want to listen
that's largely different.
Seminar.
I troubleshooting doesn't have to happen like internally when something goes wrong, you just set it up for 30 minutes. So the expertise sort of needs to be I guess just for the department. I don't think that the semi is that much more difficult than an analysis. But for somebody who it's a
Yes, depending on the ground truth is that we're keeping it within the form of thinking. Yes, just so you're right. But that's, I think that's
because you have to send all of something goes wrong, you gotta mess with it, and the semis we run a long 3-hour session, and the first hour is basically like doing fluidics and watching it start. Deep for half an hour while it does its whole thing. So it's just much more efficient, and I think just having that easy to use.
Two or 3 minutes left to start wrapping it up.
I mean, it is fortunate, but I don't know,
There's one down the road. I mean, and
yeah, the contract is through, so we have some.
it's throughout the whole book. Yeah. My director uses the same thing. Essentially, like, it's like an assistant sort, but instead of you go to the day, you go over the staff, and we can point out some things that the user may not understand. It's very ad hoc. If someone comes to us and they say, can you help me? We just want to just gotta make sure the experiment actually has its hands on it and move to your head.
Yeah, so that would be solid.
Yeah, because I did try a 2-hour office hours.
If it's in-depth consultation charge, if you truly value
My boss loves people and staff, so he's always I was like, why is he not using the ability to automate my time with the mouse? You know, we are asking because it's too easy to double book.
Well, maybe.
Meetings coming up, it shows up on the calendar. I'm very protective of my daily work. Well, because a lot of people don't understand. This is like just my experience day in, day out. For my uses, from this department, it's a bit when you're trying to help someone.
That's what you need to talk to your
You
IT.
don't have the time.
You need to talk to your IT.
People,
Make
when
sure
they're booking
you have a
meetings
place
back to
to
the
start
back,
doing that
they
data.
are
And
doing the same.
I'm
I'm going overtime, so I'm very, like, I would love to leave 15 minutes between our meetings. Users will do that. But it's a huge reminder from them.
But I think you can afford that.
To go to meetings, it's just like, or I'll be like with the user and my boss actually like, we need help over here. I'm like, with the user.
Things are in no particular order. I will start bringing people back. I tried really hard. So I think it's time to kind of come back together and we can discuss some of the things we discussed before the session totally ends. If you have note cards, please give them to me and I will, after the session, so I'll kind of collate everything that we talked about. If you're interested in getting a copy of the typed up version of everybody's notes, put your name on a postcard thingy at this table and I will find a way to get to you. So let's start with this table. We had the project tracking group. It sounds like it's a bit of a Wild West and we don't have quite the tools we would like, but we're working on it. Steve, would you like to talk about it?
Yes. All right. So I hope this is going to be organized enough for continuity and cohesiveness. So the first thing we kind of talked about is like sort consultations, right? And tracking what we do with our users who come to talk to us and want to do stuff with us, whether that's analysis or sorting, et cetera, right? And kind of having a sort of standardized form, standardized questions, be that physical, some of us do it physically, some of us do it digitally, but having the ability to put all of that down and have a record for it, right? And you can basically start to build a file, if you will, on that person, that project, that lab, however you want to organize that, right? Also including things like downstream assays on the form, right? Tracking where those samples are going, what's being done with them. The U of R uses Smart Sheets for a lot of this, which is like a flexible, programmable spreadsheet kind of thing. I'm definitely not a master at that, so I can't speak too much to that. But fortunately, I have folks on the team who do. But I can absolutely speak more to that if anybody is interested. AI transcripts, another great thing, right? If you're doing like a Zoom meeting, Teams meeting, whatever, you can easily get the transcript, put that into a Word document, either print it out if you're doing physical files or digital files, right? Just slap it right into whatever folder you want. No, what is that tiny note there?
Oh, that was the note to myself.
Okay, great, all right. So, and something like a separate database, and I think the tough thing that we talked about here is that like all of the things that we do, we end up using multiple different systems, right? And that in itself can be a massive complication and kind of a pain in the tuchus, if you will. But having a separate database to track things like user-made gates that, we as the operators maybe didn't agree with, we argued back and forth and said, I don't like this. Well, this is the way I want to do it. Okay, it's your time, it's your money, I'll do it. I don't like it. Having complex descriptions, references, et cetera, go onto a core server for people to look at and potentially hard copy and file. And that's in reference to people's strategies, projects, gating schemes, et cetera. The sort of holistic view of their project, if you will. Forms to notify all involved parties, so this goes to kind of cross-core collaboration, right? If someone's going from flow to genomics, for example, I'm totally not biased. You can have, little automated emails, something like that, or something that someone manually shoots over. Right, keeping track of your post-sort checks. This looked awful. There was nothing in it after we did it, right? And having that be kind of a stopping point, checking point, QC point. Sort notes, super important. Sort went well, sort went badly. Investigator was late, uncooperative, didn't prep their samples right. All of these things you can keep track of. Again, it ends up being in multiple different systems, which can kind of be a pain point. There are things that exist that are close to being sort of an all-in-one encompassing thing, but I don't think we're quite there yet, which is kind of one of the conclusions that we got to. We did talk about some exciting developments that Stratacore is going to be bringing to fruition in the near future. Internal project tracking, right? Google Drive, OneNote. We had paper notebooks with printouts. So there's a lot of different styles, and I think it really comes down to what works for your core and your size and how many staff you have. But consistency really is one of the things that you want to maintain. Talking about tracking unmixing and controls, autofluorescence extraction, et cetera, for full spectrum cytometry, right? Because that can potentially become a bear if you have people doing multiple different experiments on mixing different ways every time. And if that's on you, if you're running the experiments, right, you want to be able to keep track of that. A sort of Papa John's style pizza tracker, right? For is it like a timeline for like every project, from the inception of that project to going to flow, sorting in flow, and being able to like manage that and pop files in images, notes, etc. That might be a very potentially helpful thing. And for external work, we talked a little bit about that at the end here. No grand solution for it, right? A lot of the things we've talked that I've mentioned here in our notes before could work for that, but ultimately, again, I think it depends on what your facility does, how you do it. For my facility, it's basically a folder on a shared drive, and everything just goes into that. But automation is definitely something that could be added to this, but it is also a potential challenge, right? Because again, you have to pay for that or spend time doing it. Trello and various integrated extensions that you can add for that are potentially very helpful, right? Because that's a free program, calendar-based, card-based. So you can really kind of leverage that as well. So I think the conclusion was there's a lot of tools out there. There's nothing custom-built and perfect, but we may. Oh, Trello, Trello. It's got a couple of different plugins that you can use and leverage. And it is a project tracking management software at its core, at its nature. And I think that's everything we talked about. Anybody want to go next?
Well, I was going to move then.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Steve. All right, so the next table, proficiency testing. Users, staff, how do we know what they know? How do we balance what we want them to know with the PI's desire for now?
Thank you. So we had a really great table. I learned something from everyone at the table. We talked about what proficiency is, how do we do it, how do we know it, why do we do it. So key thing here is pretty much it was agreed upon that we do proficiency training to keep them from breaking our equipment and to hopefully do good science. And the way we do it is kind of a mixed bag among the group here, but it's sort of kind of it boiled down to some combination of education, courses, training, some kind of lectures. We had one gentleman here who has an electronic training class, which I'm very interested in, if you're willing to share with us at some point. Yeah, where they can do like videos and then they take a little quiz and then you move on to the next. It's kind of in short bits for short attention span, which is good. We do, in our institution, University of Miami, we do 4 90-minute lectures, so it gets a little tedious, but we do also have an exam. And then it's a combination of that kind of training and hands-on, where at the end of the hands-on, there might be some kind of demonstration that you know how to start up the instrument, set up your sample, acquire the data, shut it down, and do your QA/QC. And again, for our institute and for many of the others, we want them to pass this proficiency to be allowed to do experiments after hours when we're not around. Another key point here is SOPs are really helpful. And we're talking about not just training our users, but also our staff. So, and again, the proficiency was, some of our people at the table said, see one, do one unsupervised. Now that's the school I came from. And we do that, and there's something called director's approval, which just comes from knowing the people, knowing if they're trustworthy, knowing if they seem to understand what they're doing. And we also agreed that some people are never going to be able to do it that quickly. So we understand, we know we can tell the difference just by observing what we see. But one thing we figured out collectively is that even if you do all the training and pass the test and get signed off on the equipment, some people might need more time to become truly competent. There's a difference between knowing what to do and then being competent to be doing it on your own. And so, interestingly, some of the people at the table have what they call provisional proficiency, where you'll get approved, but maybe you'll get people looking at you a little bit longer before you're really officially signed off on. And the other thing we talked about a bit is whether we should charge for this, and some people actually do. I think it's good in this climate to be able to recover our costs, so I think it's an interesting notion. We're being asked to do that at Miami, and we're looking at that. But yeah, the bottom line is, I think everyone at our table agreed in the end, it's very important to have this proficiency some kind of program to establish your users, knowing what they're doing, documenting it so you can prove it. Hopefully then the investigators have confidence. The challenge is to make, even if you do all this training, that doesn't guarantee they'll do it right. And so it's good to keep an eye on data, keep an eye on people's experiments, letting them know to talk to you if things don't look right, et cetera. Yes?
So a question for your group. I see all kinds of coursework now. I think your Davies has a series and he teaches expert cytometry has another aspect to it. Have you guys ever used that in your course, or do you find them just too expensive, or are they cost effective?
I think for staff, for sure, I've sent some of them to training that way. Yeah, for sure. And I think it was brought up, some people even just say, go take the BD class, come back when you're done, and we'll make sure you know what you're doing. But yeah, of course, there are these external things. I think for at least my experience, we need a program internally just to show our institute we're doing our mission. Yes?
The ISAC Educational Content Committee is releasing an introduction to
Perfect. That'll be very helpful. So saving that component of at least the theory and the basics of how flow cytometry works, that would be great to be able to do that.
Yes, there's going to be an introduction to the basics lecture that is in the works and getting close. The full cytometry content subcommittee also has one of its goals is creating shorter learning videos and learning concepts for instrument compare. If there was anything about it, I would very much wish to see that. Let me know. I can organize it. I can share that committee so I can help make sure that we prioritize what we do this month. To make sure that some of those shorter just-in-time learning ones, we go on our YouTube and we can be free for access for people to report.
Right. So certainly it'd be great to leverage that, and then we can focus our efforts on hands-on training.
Yes.
Anything else anyone wanted to say? We're good?
Just one more thing, Dave. I don't know if this is behind your paywall or not, but Finder also is now released like this education thing. It's actually quite good. With tests, yeah.
It's like $100. I used it for a staff member that needed, some alternative training after what we, did during.
Extra training.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
This site license is $1,000.
Yeah, it's pretty pricey. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I'll also mention that is not included in the 2-week trial.
Steve, I was just going to say, does that raccoon hold special significance for you there? Or?
I know, I think Rachel chose well for what would be a spirit animal.
Cool. So last topic is data management. We all kind of agreed that this is not our job or shouldn't be our job. It should be the job of IT to help us out to learn where to store these files. So get a hold of your IT departments and get them to help you plan a good data management strategy. Gone are the days where we could pop data on floppy disks or CDs and put them under our desk because the data sets, especially for instruments like S8s, Auroras, are getting so large that we need a better solution. So we found some great solutions here. So Daniel does, as part of the OneDrive collective, we have Google Drive, and so it's probably slightly different, but the instruments, the data from the instruments are taken straight to a core OneDrive folder, and then the user can access that OneDrive folder, and then once the computer reaches 90% capacity, or the storage does, then it's delete the oldest files until the storage equals 80% capacity. I think that's a really good idea. I don't know, like with our institute, I don't know if they allow us to store data on OneDrive or Google Drive or something like that, so everybody would have to see if that's applicable. I'm pretty sure I don't, which is a shame because it would work really well. In terms of backups, most people have off-site servers, or a lot of people have off-site servers for backups, and everyone does differing amount of time for local backups where they just strip their data off. I think it's very instrument dependent. In terms of, we have industry here who does the automated to the cloud once again, and an internal server, and then use AWS, did I get that right? And or Microsoft, but it can be very expensive to arrange those services. We did discuss things like the Thermo cloud. The Thermo SitePix has an option to send data straight to a cloud. Cytec Cloud is not an option to store data at the moment. Please correct me if anyone knows I'm wrong. BD Research Cloud, not sure at the moment, and Cytobank is still around and still very expensive. So that is not great. People talked about new instrumentation purchasing, and you really need to talk with IT about a data plan for that, because that's super important. So Charles here actually did anyone go to the workshop, pre-meeting workshop on Sunday about, sorry Charles, about the data management? And we're going to try and, I was going to say coerce, but that doesn't sound good, that we're going to try and ask you as AVRF to do like maybe a town hall, because your option sounds really good, but you also said that you're happy for people to reach out to you, so about your strategy, which seems to work really well, so that would be good. And I think that's about it. 1 second, I'm going through the notes. I will write these up a bit better for you, and I think that's probably about it.
All right, thank you everyone for the great discussions. If you have note cards you want to give me, I will work on typing up notes. If you want those notes, you can put your name on this piece of paper, you can email me, you can message me through the app, and once I finally type things up, it can be you. Last piece of business. Steve, this dude here, really cool dude, he is now the official chair of the FCRG. If you would like to join us to have fun on drop delay projects or have suggestions of your own projects and you'd like to get involved in helping the ABRF improve the flow cytometry community, send him your letter of intent. Why do you want to join the FCRG? What's your passion? What do you want to do? The website will also say that you have to send a CV. If you have one and you're comfortable doing so, great. We consider it optional. We care more about what you want to do and what your goals are than, you know, your credentials. You do have to be an ABRF member. Is membership included with registration at the annual meeting? Does anyone know the details of that?
You can bundle it.
You can bundle it, okay. So,
But if you go to a chapter meeting, a lot of the chapter meetings, they will give you a free ABRF membership till the end of the year or so. Oh, you
yeah, I'm an institutional member, so that works out well. So, all right, thank you everyone. We're a little past time. Please make sure you go get coffee before your next session or